I've been teaching at the college and university level for about 9 years now, and a few years ago, I decided that I needed to get out of the toxic work culture and the toxic workspace that I was in. So I created an exit plan and a strategy, and I'm going to share that with you today. As we all know, when you gain that full-time, hopefully tenure track, coveted position, we get super excited because it's something that we all wanted. It's something that, it's our goal in academia. It gives us security. It gives us the ability to know that we can be in one place and really invest in our time there. Not only our time with our students, but our time building a curriculum, building a program, and we can really spend our energy making a difference and creating a program that we think is the best for our students in our industry. Looking back now, there were so many red flags that I ignored. And I think many of them I ignored by choice because I thought, well, if I want to keep this job, I have to do X, Y, and Z. I have to say yes. I have to work, 60-hour weeks. I have to teach whatever, I need to teach whatever they ask me to teach. I need to do whatever they ask me to do. I need to be the person that says, I'm so excited to be here. Whatever I need to do, I'll do. And in essence, that kind of set me up for not being able to speak up for myself. So a few red flags that happened to me were the idea that everybody was always on eggshells, like in my entire department, actually in my entire college that I was at. I was always on eggshells. I felt it. I didn't know quite what it was. And then slowly and surely, people started confiding into me about the culture that was in that space. I was treated like, not only was I new, but I was treated like I should just stay in my lane. Like literally people on my committee even said to me, you need to pretty much shut up, stay in your lane, and learn about the politics in this college. I was like, I'm sorry, what? And that should have been a red flag to me when I was not treated with respect and when I was not treated as an equal in that academic sphere, that I was treated like a young child. And so all of these red flags, left, right, are coming all over the place. And I still thought, you know what, I need to be here for my students. I need to be here for myself and my financial security and support. And maybe it's not that bad. Can you relate to ignoring any of these red flags or some that you're thinking about right now? Let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you if you feel comfortable sharing. So at some point, I made the decision to create an exit strategy. And really this came about after my first year when my committee said to me that I had to make drastic changes or it wasn't going to be a good fit. Along that way, I was going to be speaking out professionally using the right path. I was going to speak out and I was going to speak up, because if I wasn't going to be able to stay to make change in that department, I was going to speak up so that people were aware this was happening and they could either not go to the school, or there could be investigations made, or that people were just going to be aware what was happening even when I wasn't there. And I think the biggest switch I had to make was saying, okay, I am going to do what I can for these students, this faculty, the staff, the people that knew what was going on. I'm going to do what I can for them, because when I'm no longer here, I knew that I was just going to have to just kind of take care of myself for a while. So here's the exit strategy. What I did was, the second year, I knew that I was not going to be there past that year. I knew it wasn't going to happen either way, their choice or my choice. So I actually started working at another university teaching adjunct. I was just a lecturer. I taught a class or two, and I started connecting with other colleges, community colleges, universities in my area, and just saying, hey, I think I'm going to be looking to pick up some new classes. If you have anything in mind, keep me in mind for the next academic year. And so I started building those connections, building those relationships with folks in an effort to say, hey, in a year, I think I'm going to be available. Something else I did was I started thinking about how else I could make money. Another factor of why we don't leave these positions in these toxic spaces is because we think financially, how am I going to support myself? So I also knew that I needed to find another way to create multiple streams of income. So one thing I did was, I knew in my situation, I teach musical theater. So I started to create my own studio. I created a studio for folks to work with me in my home pre-2020. And so you can tell I'm even nervous about talking about it because I'm like getting flush. So I created my own studio, and I started reaching out to students and present students, past students, people that were in my network, saying, hey, I'm going to be offering one-on-one lessons and coachings. Let me know if I can help you. I set up a website, I set up an appointment scheduling, I created, Facebook pages for those groups, and I started to let people know that I was going to be teaching one-on-one. And so that was extremely helpful. And then I started figuring out how could I create mini courses or courses online with the knowledge that I already had. So one-on-ones, online courses that just created extra revenue and income. And then I reached out to all of the colleges, universities, anybody else to start creating those relationships and those connections. And the most important was I was working full-time, actually more than full-time, because I was doing massive amounts of overtime classes. I don't know why, but I was working pretty much a full-time position plus an additional almost part-time on top of that at that college, along with I was teaching adjunct or lecture positions at another university at the same time. So yeah, it was pretty crazy, but that set me up for being able to not be full-time anymore and to still have income when that income kind of came to a halt. I think the most important aspect that I took away from this as well was I needed to learn from my mistakes. My mistakes were not seeing the red flags, thinking that I could change an entire department, an entire division of toxicity. I think moving forward, what I have done and part of my exit strategy after going through that was, number one, therapy. But number two, choosing to live a life where it was about living and not about working.